Another popular subject online is, why is Simone playing and Blueger not?
You have to say Blueger.
Blueger, Nat.
Ain't that Blueger playing, and that's Simone out there. He gets all knocked down in that.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Donut Bag, part of the Pod Hub Network. In this episode, I welcome back Dan Kingerski from Pittsburgh Hockey Now. We talk about the latest going on with the Penguins. There is so much going on. The trade deadline is in a few days. They're fighting for a playoff spot. There's all kinds of things going on with the players. We have a really good talk. The Donut Bag starts right now.
The Penguins did something they haven't done all season. Beat the New Jersey Devils! Yay! Everything's all right. With me to talk about it is Dan Kingerski from Pittsburgh Hockey Now. How you doing, sir?
Not bad. How are you?
Oh, hanging in there. I don't know where to start. There's so much going on. Let's start with Jack Johnson.
Okay.
Did you know there is a GoFundMe to, it says buy out Jack Johnson's contract? People are raising money to try to buy out his contract.
Oh, dear Lord. The hatred, the ignorance, the vitriol, the piling on, the groupthink, the stubbornness, the unwillingness to even consider anything beyond what the group thinks in this entire situation has been a little bit maddening, to the point where someone hits me on Twitter, I'm done responding or trying to explain anymore.
I've never seen anything like it. I've never seen in all my life a team announce, hey, we got this guy, and be met with so much hatred. It's crazy.
Well, the funny thing is, that was in July. Everyone knew he was terrible before he ever played for the Penguins, and so we actually at Pittsburgh Hockey Now, we have an office in a downtown office building. So there are other people, obviously, in this. We didn't buy an entire skyscraper. So there's a psychologist on our floor, and he and I were actually talking about it. He knows nothing about hockey, doesn't care, but he was really explaining the dynamics of the safety of the group and how sometimes that group can get very militant, as people stray from the reservation. And it was, our conversations are really kind of cool, and it's so much of what I see. As the group formed very quickly, and the group cannot get any satisfaction. There is absolutely nothing Penguins fans can do to get satisfaction for hating Jack Johnson. So the hate intensifies, and every time he's even in the building for a goal against, it's, oh my God, Jack Johnson's going to cost us the Stanley Cup, which by transference is going to cost me the Stanley Cup. And so it becomes a very personal, vitriolic relationship, which, you're right. I've not seen anything quite like this. I mean, Rob Scuderi at the end was pretty toasted. I mean, he was late 30s. I got fans' frustration with him, but it wasn't personal hatred like it is for Jack Johnson.
Yeah, I mean, even Jim Rutherford said something in the past couple days. He said, "I've never seen those media scrums where a player comes in. It just happens to be there." I was surprised at the questions. Okay, that he was yelling at the media for the questions they asked, and they didn't really ask anything bad.
I've not seen too much improper or anything improper asked of Jack Johnson. If anything, I think most of us, I don't quite know how to phrase this tactfully, most of us, kind of being around hockey for multiple years and years, have some respect for a lot of the things that he does, and I think that shows a lot of the questions. I've tried to ask some, kind of see what he sees or what he hears. Like I've asked him about advanced statistics and those things, which is kind of amusing to me that he probably thinks I'm one of the ones leading the charge against him when that might be a bit far from the truth. But, it's I think the Penguins are going to circle wagons around him, and I'm actually kind of glad.
Is it possible that he's kind of their Brooks Orpik from back in the day? Like the tough stay-at-home defenseman that'll rough things up, that'll be tough, clear people out of the crease, things like that.
Well, sure. I haven't checked his hit stats in a couple or a few weeks, but he at early January, mid-January, he was on pace for 250 hits for the season, which would be a great Penguins season. And when Jack Johnson hits you, it's not exactly like it's a love tap. So that's just one aspect in which he does well, and yeah, it's probably a fair comparison to Brooks Orpik back in the day. And most successful teams do have one of those type defensemen who put up 8 points a year and 300 hits.
They say he might be doing better because he's on his natural side now that Justin Schultz is back. How much do you think Justin Schultz being back helps that defense?
Oh, boy, there's a couple of questions in that. I tried, by the way, Joe. I really tried. The other night I asked Zach, I'm like, hey, so you're on your left side now. I would imagine that's opening up some avenues for you in some different ways. He's like, well, there's pros and cons. Like, damn it, man, give me something here to help you out. But, yes, first of all, Jack Johnson on his left, him being able to play the puck has been leaps and bounds better. He's a marginal puck mover. On his backhand, he was well below average, but the Penguins really had no options. And so, he had to kind of suffer through it. Now, to the Justin Schultz issue, man, what he brings. The Penguins, now as a team, have the confidence to play that low to high game. Mike Sullivan has been preaching about, you've heard the phrase, hang on to pucks low. Well, what that does, in addition to pressuring the defense down low, is opens up the top of the zone. Before Schultz came back, there was Chris Letang able to step into the slot or blast away from the top. Now that there's Justin Schultz, the team is looking for that play. And even Brian Dumoulin now is capitalizing on the team integrating that very basic sort of strategy into their overall deal.
So Schultz is back, helps out the defensive pairings and the defense. And Zach Aston-Reese coming back seems to be pretty valuable also. Did he kind of bring balance to all the lines?
He might be the Anakin Skywalker, huh? I don't.
He's the chosen one.
I wouldn't have thought it, right? Kind of came out of nowhere. He's playing very well on the fourth line and chipping in. And I just, I kind of offhandedly wrote on Sunday his little blurb in an otherwise fairly negative column that perhaps he should get a shot in the top six because, well, what the hell do they have to lose, essentially? They do that Sunday. They put him ahead of Dominic Simone, and Malkin's game immediately opened up. And that little move just sort of seemed to put all the stars in place and everything in a line where this really could work, man. I mean, Aston-Reese playing heavy and hard down low creates space around the net for Evgeny Malkin. And Aston-Reese's puck retrieval and, that skill then puts the puck on Malkin and Kessel's stick. So even if Kessel's in one of his bad nights, Aston-Reese is still pressuring the defense and feeding Malkin. So worst case scenario, you've got a couple guys on that line who are going to be going, and it opens up the third line to play in the offensive zone, and the fourth line then can have a guy like Dominic Simone where he probably really does belong, and a heck of a fourth liner then becomes Tanner Pearson.
You wrote in your report card of the Devils game, Phil Kessel, parent teacher conference requested.
I had forgotten I wrote that. Thanks for.
We're at that point. We're at that point with Phil where we need to bring in the parents. Oh my goodness. Is he kind of tied to Gino? It's like as Gino goes, he'll go. Hopefully.
No, because Malkin has been going now. Kessel is his own planet or universe a lot of times. I can't explain where he is right now. I can't give you a good reason why he's not ripping shots from the top of the zone, from the circles. I can't tell you quite what's going on. Don't forget, he's an $8 million player. He only cost the Penguins $6.8. That's because Toronto is still eating a chunk of Phil Kessel's contract. Now, obviously, they got pretty good value finally with Kapanen, but an $8 million player should not be dependent on Evgeny Malkin. That's the reason you make $8 million is because you can carry a line. And the nice thing about Aston-Reese is he kind of balances out Kessel's struggles. But boy, if the Penguins get Kessel working, they suddenly vault themselves into real contender status, I think.
Someone else that hasn't been producing much either is Patric Hörnqvist. Is it time to be concerned about him?
I guess Hörnqvist, because he's such an emotional and engaged player, doesn't necessarily elicit the same head scratching that Kessel does, right? Because when Kessel's in a slump, you're wondering if he cares, you're wondering what's going on, why. With Hörnqvist, you kind of maybe he gets the benefit of the doubt and you assume there's something wrong. At least coming from my corner of the world, perhaps Hörnqvist isn't entirely healthy because his scoreless streak really began after when he came back from his injury, his upper body injury that wasn't a concussion, but sure kind of resembled one. So, I almost wonder if he'll get a couple games off here soon because he's not himself. He was incredibly feisty in Tampa Bay. He really sparked the Penguins there. And then I'm trying to think who has the locker beside Hörnqvist, but some TV guys were standing in his locker earlier in the week, and he just was kind of having none of that. So he was feisty inside, and I guess it was after Calgary, Malkin's first game back, and so everyone was crowding around Malkin. That's right. And Hörnqvist was just letting some people know they weren't supposed to be standing there. It was legit. Sometimes media folk forget that they're in someone else's office, but so he's not disengaged, and certainly his emotion is there and his intensity is there. But obviously there's a problem with the on ice product.
Maybe it's just a slump.
I don't think so. I don't know, and